Hello?
Hello, Sydney. Remember me?
What do you want?
I want you. It's showtime.
Then why don't you show your face, you fucking coward?
My pleasure.
The way I see it, someone's out to make a sequel. You know, cash in on all the movie murder hoopla. So it's our job to observe the rules of the sequel. Number 1, the body count is always bigger.
Do you want to die tonight?
Number 2, the death scenes are always much more elaborate. More blood, more gore. Carnage, candy. Your core audience just expects it.
Fuck you!
And number 3, if you want your sequel to become a franchise, never, ever...
How do we find the killer, Randy? That's what I want to know.
But if he's a suspect, so am I. So, let's move on.
Well, let's not move on. Maybe you are a suspect.
Well, if I'm a suspect, you're a suspect.
Okay, let's move on.
Good evening. Welcome to this week's edition of the WayBack Movies Podcast, a show where we review the best and not so best of 80s and 90s cinema, because really, fuck the 2000s. My name is Steve, and with me on this crazy journey...
Cousin.
Doctor. And we're back with another stroll down the Scream? I have no idea where the hell I'm going with this.
You have no street reference.
I got nothing. I'm making it up as I go along, and I thought that was all right.
You can't even say Return to Woodsboro because nope.
No, we're not in Woodsboro anymore. So we're going to college. That's what's happening.
There you go.
We're going to college and following a couple of our friends from the first movie. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But yes, we're covering Scream 2 today because we're furthering the Wes Craven side of it all.
Ending the first month
Yes.
of our journey.
And then, yeah. So that's what we're doing. Apologies, there's a frog in my throat that will probably continue throughout the show. I apologize for that. But with that, I guess, do we want to just go back in time?
Jump right in.
All right, so we will jump to the In the Wayback Machine 2, December 12th, 1997, for Scream 2. So here we are, December 12th, 1997, and I'm in a movie theater watching this movie, this very film, because the toned-down violence made it 14A in Canada.
More kid-friendly.
Very much so. Not a very violent picture, which is very, very odd, and I will talk about that as we go along further into the film, which I found very weird. But, anyways... So, as I said, Scream 2, December 12th, 1997, directed by returning Wes Craven, written by Kevin Williamson. Producers are Wes Craven, Catherine Conrad, and Marianne Maddalena. I think I'm saying it right this time. Production company, Conrad Pictures and Craven Maddalena Films. Distributed by Dimension Films. Box office, $172.4 million against a budget of $24 million.
Still making that money.
Jesus. I mean, $24 million for a horror movie is fucking nuts, but they knew how much they were going to get out of this. Let's face it, the first one was a sleeper hit. They knew this was going to be a fucking blockbuster. And they were correct. So the cast, a lot of returning, a lot of new. You got Neve Campbell, Sidney Prescott. David Arquette as Dwight Dewey Riley. Courtney Cox as Gail Weathers. Jamie Kennedy as Randy Meeks. Jerry O'Connell as Derek Feldman. National treasure, Jerry O'Connell. Elise O'Neill as Hallie McDaniel. Timothy Olyphantastic as
you
Mickey
said it right.
Altieri. You're damn right I said it right. Sarah Michelle Gellar as Cece Cooper. Liev Schreiber as Cotton Weary, who actually gets to speak this time.
Hey.
Laurie Metcalf as Debbie Salt. Sort of. Dwayne Martin as Joel Jones, Rebecca Gayheart as Lois, Portia de Rossi as Murphy, Jada Pinkett, before she was Smithed, as Maureen Evans, and Omar Epps as Phil Stevens. Oh, and of course, Roger L. Jackson's the voice of Ghostface, because we got him returning. I think I'm coming down with something. This is fucked up. Apologies. So, as we said, this is Wes Craven month, so we do delve into a little bit about the man's life. So, more on Wes Craven. After the controversy of making The Last House on the Left, again, more on that later, and while directing porn, apparently, Wes attempted to move out of the horror genre and began writing non-horror films with his partner Sean Cunningham, none of which attracted any financial backing. Based on the advice from a friend about the ease of filming in the Nevada deserts, Craven began writing a new horror film based on that locale. The film became The Hills Have Eyes. We'll get to that someday. Once Hills was a success, Wes kind of realized he may not ever get a chance to step out of horror, which led him to have a few years of not working. During this time, he wrote the script for A Nightmare on Elm Street, as we mentioned a couple weeks back. He then directed an adaptation of DC characters Swamp Thing. We'll get to that someday. Although, it's not great. Not gonna lie. I do own it, because I own most of the man's movies, but it's a little rough.
They can't all be winners.
They really can't. What followed post-Nightmare was a string of made-for-TV horror films and 5 episodes of the Twilight Zone remake series, which, in all fairness, his are the best episodes. Fantastic episodes, including that one, if you remember the one with Bruce Willis, where he ends up calling himself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was directed by Wes. Great stuff. I do highly recommend the 86 series. You can get it very cheap at Walmart. I did.
And the upcoming.
And the upcoming is very soon, and I'm very excited. As I may have mentioned before, Twilight Zone is my favorite television show, so I'm very excited to see the new one. It was around this time that he was approached to direct Beetlejuice. Yes, that Beetlejuice. He was,
Beetlejuice.
aside from
Sorry,
the
you're supposed
other
to say it 3
Beetlejuice. Oh yeah, that's right, we have to say it 3 times. He was rejected because, being a horror director, the producers also didn't think he could do comedy, which very much angered Wes. He's like, but I'm trying to get out of this shit.
I can be funny!
Yeah. Same thing with a few years later, he was possibly hired. They don't say whether he was actually hired or not, to direct Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. But disagreements with Christopher Reeves led him to be fired. I think he dodged a bullet on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you've never seen Superman 4, Quest for Peace, don't. That's all I'm saying. Just don't.
Make you watch that.
Oh, I've watched it many times in my life. Don't worry.
Make you watch it again.
All of those Superman movies, well, not so much Superman Returns or Man of Steel, but all of those, like my childhood ones, they hold a special place in my heart, even Part 4. So as much as it's a terrible fucking picture, I love it.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those movies. So the production of this film, we're done with the Craven of it all. Kevin Williamson had the idea for a sequel while writing the original script for Scream, discovering there was more to the story. The movie began principal photography just 6 months after the release of Scream, and it was released less than a year after its predecessor. What is it with these horror films, man?
Well,
with almost all of the Nightmare flicks too.
Well, if he already had like the workings of a script before Scream
He
even
had
got
an
released.
outline, dude. That's not a working of a script. No.
But an outline for a horror film is different than an outline for like some
No,
major.
It's not, because you still have to write everything down, and I'm getting to that. The 6-month production schedule was more rushed than anyone wanted in making the film. After the first was successful and the script was being written, the production first contacted Neve Campbell, who was already contracted for a sequel. Then they worked out sequel deals for the rest of the cast members whose characters survived the first film. Because they actually, it seems like during production of the first film, they didn't know who was going to live and who was going to die. So they kind of just sort of went, we'll get Neve because we're keeping her. The rest of them, we're not so sure.
Everyone else is expendable.
Kind of, yeah. Here's the point. Helping write the script quickly, Kevin Williamson trusted Wes on directions about filming. One scene in the screenplay was simply described as Wes Craven will make it scary. So he wrote that into the script. So he was cutting corners. He was kind of cutting corners because he didn't have enough time to write the actual script, and it was being rewritten while they were filming.
That being said, if it was a rush job,
we'll discuss.
Yeah.
I'm not giving my opinion yet. The cast were not informed on the identity of the killer until the last day of shooting. Also, the cast did not receive the last 10 pages of the shooting script until it was time to film those scenes. Also, the last 10 pages of the script were printed on gray paper in order to deter anyone from copying them. All cast members were required to sign confidentiality clauses as parts of their contract that precluded them from discussing the outcome of the story or the killer's identity. According to a rumor, the identity of Ghostface was changed after the original script was leaked to the internet by an extra. It was Derek and Hallie in the original ending. Wes Craven had stated that the script that leaked onto the internet was a very early draft and nowhere near what the shooting script became. Kevin Williamson revealed in 2017, "We were worried the killer's identity would be leaked, so we wrote several endings, 3 in all, and the actors and potential crew members asked to read the script. We would send the script with the dummy endings. There was even a fake ending where Dewey was the killer. They existed as a decoy and nothing more. Extreme measures, but we really wanted to keep the killer's identity a secret, so I don't buy the idea that that was a real script that leaked." Other things in the earlier script that were supposedly the original ending was Gail got killed by Cotton and Sidney and Cotton fight to the death, and possibly Dewey died from his injuries in the projection room. I don't believe any of that, really.
Well, at this point, it's all,
It's all hearsay at this point, because that clearly didn't happen. Various titles were considered for the sequel at different points of the film's production, including Scream Again, Scream Ladder, and Scream the Sequel. Scream 2 is a better idea.
Yep.
Again, apologies. Reese Witherspoon and Alicia Silverstone were considered for the part of Cece. They were pretty big at the time, actually. I'm surprised none of them were actually hired. But they ended up getting Buffy herself. Sarah Michelle Gellar signed up for the movie before even reading the script. Yeah, no shit. She was originally meant to appear in the scene with the sorority sisters inviting Sydney to the party. The scene in which she does appear, the film class discussion had a different student originally giving her lines. So they kind of threw it there. And giving Randy the fuck me eyes, which was weird.
Jamie Kennedy wishes.
Yeah, well, at that time, he was pretty big. I think he was doing fine.
Was he FPJ big?
I don't think anyone was FPJ.
Well, there you go. Then you don't get SMG if you're not FPJ.
Well, now, yeah, but at the time, they were not together, I don't believe. I think they met on the I Know What You Did Last Summer, if I remember correctly.
So the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or this year. Wasn't it 97?
Maybe. Yeah, so later on in the year.
Yeah. Actors who auditioned for the part of Derek were asked to perform the scene in the cafeteria in which Derek sings I Think I Love You a cappella. I just want to see that.
So cut to just several actors just like...
I think I love you.
No, next. No.
Just get out.
Get out.
This is Timothy Olyphantastic's first leading role in his feature film. Good old Olyphantastic.
You're wondering why that we're calling him that? See Kevin Smith.
Yes. This is not going to be fun.
No.
Pardon me. The film originally ended with a shot with another Ghostface watching over the campus bell tower. If you remember that pullback shot of the bell tower. Supposedly there was supposed to be another Ghostface on that bell tower. Bad idea. There is fan speculation that the killer from Scream 3 was under the mask, which couldn't work since Scream 3 wasn't greenlit yet, so no. Which is probably why they cut it. Usually when making a movie, when an actor is heard on screen but not seen, such as the voice on the telephone, the actor or actress records his or her part during post-production, which takes place after the filming. However, Wes and Roger Jackson, the voice of Ghostface, on set were actually speaking to the actors through an actual phone, which I think we covered in the first one. Most of the time, the actors were intimidated by him and wouldn't talk to him when they weren't filming. Apparently, him and SMG just had, like, whole conversations in between shots, like, just on the phone. To the point where Wes is just like, guys, we're making a movie now, stop talking. And then they would just cut and make the movie. Of all people, Robert Rodriguez directed the scenes of Stab, the movie within the movie. Why that wasn't done by anyone on the production, I don't know. They brought in Robert Rodriguez to do it.
Why not?
I mean, I guess if you can.
Yeah, if you can.
So Tori Spelling was cast as Stab Sidney, based on the sarcastic remark by Campbell's character in Scream, because she said, I bet with any luck, it'll be Tori Spelling, and it was. She was apparently cool with it. She was a good sport, happy to joke about it, and, play the part. I do enjoy...
It's a paycheck.
Yeah, I do enjoy what's his nuts?
Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson as Billy. That's just amazing to watch. I want to watch that movie.